ఓకేనా?
to 53%. 2011 it is 51, and in 2000 it goes on increasing.
సెల్ఫ్ సీలింగ్ పక్కన ఉంటుంది బటన్ ఒకటి రౌండ్ ఇది
in 2011
స్టార్ట్ అండ్ స్టాప్ అని ఒకటే
iPhone
ఉంటుంది.
sale has, and iOS Android have increased in 2011. Maybe by today's trend, I think again Android phones will be dominating the iPhones. So markets are, I mean, it has become a competition. They used to, there is huge competition for network operators. What network operators will be trying to do? They want to attract the customers. How they will be attracting? They basically will be having spectrum. This spectrum is nothing but the frequencies which we can access. This spectrum should be kept in auction kind of thing. In this auction, we need to, these network operators will be buying this bandwidth, and in this limited bandwidth, what they'll do is they'll try to use this bandwidth for the number of subscribers in their network. So this bandwidth will be divided in turns, and that will be used by them. So for this purpose, since it is, bandwidth is also very costly, they need to accommodate many users. Then only they will be getting profits. And if there is some users, it can't be possible for them. And even they have to get profits. So what they'll do is they'll be nowadays, because of this new technologies, like before we used to have TDMA, DMA, now CDMA, and then followed by OFDMA, SCMA. These are multiple access techniques. Basically, if you are having some medium, these can be shared by multiple number of users. These are nothing but access techniques. So with the help of this, multiple number of users can use the same bandwidth simultaneously. I think I may be explaining this in the later part in detail, the multiple access techniques and what are the advantages of this and the applications. So as I told you, we are having mobile hardware. Hardware is nothing but device which should be mobile. The mobility can be, if we are talking about mobility can be of two types. One can be user mobility and one can be device mobility. When talking about user mobility is nothing but, now you are in Hyderabad, and after 1 hour you may be going to some other place. Whenever you are going from one place to another place, this is called as user mobility. In the same way, similarly, whenever you are going from Hyderabad, I mean in Hyderabad itself, if you are going from Gachibowli to Madhapur, let us suppose. Maybe Gachibowli will be covered by one tower, and High-Tech City may be covered by some other tower. So what happens is, whenever you are moving, without knowing, I mean, you don't know that handover is happening. You are moving from one station to other station, like from Madhapur to High-Tech City, where the handover happens. Like the device itself is handover from one tower to another tower. This is called as device mobility. Like you don't know if it is handover or what is happening, you don't. Your call will be continuing and everything will be normal way. This is called as seamless. And in handover also, we are having two types. I will be discussing it later. This comes into hardware. And whenever we talk about software, software is nothing but you will be having some hardware, and then you will be having software. This software, on the top of this software, we will be having applications, right? When you open your smartphone, you will be having some apps like Google, Gmail, WhatsApp, Facebook. We are having many applications, right? These applications, if you want to access, opening your applications, if you want to communicate to some other person, you will be opening and you will be communicating with that particular person. But how it happens? This software internally, this application, what it has is, this application is nothing but some software program you will be writing, right? That program can be Java, CPP or anything. But if you use Java, it will be platform independent. Basically, whenever we write some program, we should make sure that the program should be portable. Like if it is some other OS, if it is Ubuntu or if it is Windows, it should be capable of working on all the other OS also. It should be written in such a way that it is portable. So basically, we can use, since Java is a platform independent language, we can use Java for writing your programs. So you will be writing your programs. This program will be dealing with kernel, nothing but OS. This is the main brain of some system. OS will be the main brain. data presentation, I mean, if you want hardware to do some actions, like you'll be having some components, and if you want hardware to do some actions, then you need to call hardware functionality and hardware things. But you can't directly call it, right? In between, you'll be having software. These softwares, I mean, OS. This OS deals with hardware. You don't know what happens in hardware. You'll be just calling the functionalities, relevant functionalities you'll be calling with the help of system calls present in OS. So, by using these system calls, you'll be accessing whatever you want and data. I'm just giving the overview. It will be, as I told you, this is an overview session. I'll be describing this later in the following sessions. Okay. What are the advantages? Can anyone tell me the advantages? As I told you, like what is mobile and what is computing? I told you, right? So can you tell me some of the advantages?
Session.
That you need to work, you need to come to office all the way from such long distances, and you need to work here. It is not mandatory nowadays. And so what you can do is you can work in your home, and it is whenever, even though there is some urgency and you are going to some home, if you are going to your hometown, and here there is some mandatory task that need to be submitted or some deadlines you need to do, then what you can do is you can carry your laptop or carry your mobiles, and you can perform your task. It's portable, right? Since it is moving thing, which can be portable and which can be taken anywhere, you can just take that, you can just log into your server and log into your, using your company's credentials, you can just log into your server things and you can access your data. So, the flexibility, I mean, whenever you are having work, you have to sit at a particular place and then you have to perform your task. But whenever we are speaking about this mobile thing, the location, it is independent of location, right? We can travel anywhere and we can do whatever work you want. So we are having flexibility to move anywhere and to work anywhere. And the second factor will be time. It saves time. See, suppose you're given some time and you need to submit it by tomorrow, I guess. Maybe by tomorrow. For that, but you don't have that much time. So instead of traveling all the way to office or instead of traveling some other place, and if three, four people are working parallelly on this, they need not come together and they need not work together. Instead, they can independently work with their phones and they can share their screens. As I'm sharing my screen now, they can share their screens and they can just mail the documents whichever they are done with, and they can integrate together. They can check it once. We are having many applications like Skype, with the help of me. There are many applications for it. With the help of these applications, they get in synchronization and other people will be in sync and they can do their work. By this, we will be able to meet the deadlines. It is saving the time, right? So, since it is saving the time, we will be able to meet the deadlines. Productivity. How productivity is increased? As I told you, nothing but overload. Something, if you develop something, the growth for that will be increased. Like time may be the one factor for the productivity. If you have, since you are saving time, this time will, instead of say if you are capable of doing some work in 1 hour, and 1 hour, that 1 hour you can't waste it in traveling, right? So because of this, productivity will be increased. And then research. See, nowadays research is the main factor used by many scientists will be using. So if you want to serve them some data, we are having many websites now. We can just Google the topic and we can get the information whatever is required. And even in research areas, like scientists, whenever they want something, whenever they want to upload some documents, or whenever they are, whenever they have some achievements kind of things, they can put into some blogs and they change. And in research also, there are many applications basically. Suppose you have something, but he want to match his fingerprint kind of. He want to match his fingerprints whether he is the thief in some other state has done some mischievous things. Maybe he want to correlate if he is the this person and that person are same. So if those are some documents related to him, like his profile basic profile basic and those kind of information can also be shared from this person from this PS police station to the police station in some other station. Alright. Not only this, even doctors for sharing of scan reports. See, if your family doctor is in some other place and the doctor now you now you went to some other hospital. If you want some documents, then documents can also be shared. Like not only this, even in education. Like now itself like this is not mobile in this, but if you access this with the help of some mobile, then it can be called as it can also be called as mobile computing. And in education nowadays, none of them in US at least, none of them is using notebook kind of stuff. They'll be carrying some portable devices, whatever some notes is given or something, they'll be making note of that in the portable thing itself and they'll be carrying it. No book is carried over. In scientists will be using for research purposes and for crimes, for sharing some information and many things. Coming to entertainment, I think entertainment you will be aware of these things like music, videos, everything you will be downloading, right? If you want to play also you can stream your videos in defense in each and every field. I think each and every field is now using mobile computer. See, suppose basically I also whenever I come to office, if I miss my phone someday, I'll be feeling like I lost something for the whole day. It's like it has become a part of our life, mobile phones. Everything. Like when I'm talking about mobile computing, it is portable. Along with that, it has to access everything. So best example will be our mobile phone, and even laptops that connected with some modem. They can also act as portable things. So I think it will be very easy when compared with fixed networks, right? Instead of sitting in the same place and working for many hours, we can travel and we can. The ease of work will be business processes. Suppose some business meetings are there, some presentations. So they'll be having regular meetings like how the productivity is growing, and they'll be having internal discussions for that. And these processes they'll be discussing. They instead of maybe the director may be at some other place and you want to contact all the persons, he'll be just like this process. He'll be just sharing his screen and whatever he wants, he'll be just sharing. And all the different branches in different states will be using this information. Will be capable of listening and reacting to the management. So for visiting business, like each and every field, now we are using mobile computing. I think you are getting my points. If you have any doubts or issues, you can just tell me. Like wide network and wireless. Can you give me some examples of wide and wireless network? And basically, what is wide network and what is wireless network? In most of the points I covered, I think you came to know what is wide and wireless. What are the advantages and what are the differences between wide and wireless? So, wide and wireless. See, in wide, what it will be like, we'll be having fixed points, okay? Fixed. So, we'll be having fixed, like this will be the source and this will be the destination. So, whenever you want to send something, you'll be sending something and you'll be receiving something. There will be some fixed lines between the source and destination in wide. I mean, wides are nothing but see, for land you will be using wides, for TV cable, these are all wide systems. That wides can be there are many types of wide systems, coaxial, twisted cables, types. When coming to wireless, as I told you, antenna is the main component which performs this wireless thing. It is the main thing which will convert electrical signals into electromagnetic signals. So coming to the differences, which is prone to main errors. And someone telling on his tool, which is prone to errors and which has lots of loss rate, which will have the high loss rate. That wire is something which in wire also it will have copper wires and it will be insulated, right? So it is a fixed medium. It doesn't have effects on environment, like even if the weather changes or even if something changes, irrespective of weather changes and irrespective of other environmental changes, it will work fine because it is insulated. The copper wire is insulated around with some insulating medium, right? So it doesn't have any effect. So it doesn't have interference things like engines, like some thunders, they won't be effects, and engine smoke. These won't cause any effects to these wide systems. Because of these things, and because of this lighting, engine smoke, weather conditions, the wireless system will be affected. Because if we take our phone will be transmitting signals to the base station. Whenever you call someone, basically the signals will be transmitted to the base station. These signals will be altered by environmental conditions because what we are accessing air as our medium. So the loss rates and the interference levels will be high, right? Restrictive regulations of frequencies, and frequencies should also be coordinated. Frequencies in the sense we are having bandwidth, and that bandwidth should be shared between many number of users. For that purpose, we should have these frequencies coordinated, and transmission rates. Transmission rates also will be one of the factor, since if the medium is called as channel. Whenever you transmit something, the receiver may not receive it properly. There may be some errors in it. So what you will do is you will increase the modulation and coding speed. Suppose if you are transmitting some, if you are using some QAM kind of thing, a 64-bit QAM, and then 64 bits will be transferred per second. So transmitter will be transmitting at the rate of 64 bits per second, and receiver will be receiving. But maybe the weather conditions are not good, or some environmental factors like smoke and some other things are playing a key role, then what will happen? It may not reach, I mean the received signal may not be the exact signal as which one we sent from the transmitter. So next time what we'll do, we will look some error correction techniques, and the base station will be telling that this signal, the channel quality will be reported each and every time. So it will be telling about the channel quality, how good it is, and based on that what we'll be doing next time, we'll be instead of sending 64 gram, we'll be sending some 16 gram or 8 gram. Maybe since the number of bits per second increases, maybe the quality of the signal increases. So basically whatever you take, the quality is one of the most important criteria. Quality, productivity, and also efficiency, and number of users that can be accommodated in a given value. These are the main things which will be taken into account in this mobile computer and wireless things. So we should be careful. We should use many encryption algorithms. As of now, in LTE we are
అలాగే పెట్టద్దన్నారు మీరు ఇంతకుముందు బిల్చండి.
since it is shared by that medium, is using the same medium, and everyone using the frequencies. And also we also have the frequency reuse concept. If we are using this frequency in a particular cell, it is not mandatory that we shouldn't use this frequency anywhere. If we use that frequency, some interference will happen. No, nothing like that. If we basically our geographical area will be divided into cells. I think that will be covered in the last slides, I guess. So everything we are accessing is a shared medium. So we should be taking some appropriate action so that whatever we send, whatever information we send, that should be encrypted, and that should not be revealed, and that shouldn't be revealed to some other persons. Okay. Now you know at least, I mean, this is a basic section basically. So I think most of you are aware of this, whatever I am saying. But let me tell, and later on we'll deal with some others. Later on I'll take multiple access techniques and architectures, protocol stacks, and this kind of thing. So basically, what is communication? Whenever I am talking, this mobile PlayStation. The PlayStation is nothing but, as I told you, that is some big antennas, and you are transmitting something, and that is receiving. So what is happening? Is it something is getting communicated, right? It is transmitting and it is capable of receiving that signal, and it is decoding and it is sending back some response kind of thing. So how is it possible? What is communication? It will be transmission and reception of data streams. You are having some A and you are having some B. He's talking to you, and if you are talking in some other phone or some other thing, you may not hear him. Basically, if two devices are in sync and they are communicating, whatever he is conveying, he should be capable of hearing that, and he should be capable of responding. That is called as communication. That is a two-way communication. See, if someone is not responding, it is called as one-side communication, right? Two-way transmission and reception should be there. That is called as communication. Whatever we speak in our phone, we'll be speaking something, and that person will be replaying something. So one example for this data, whatever we share, we'll be getting that replay, right? So this is nothing but communication, a two-way transmission and reception. So basically, transmitter will be transmitting the signals, and the receiver, and with the help of receiver, will be capable of receiving the signals. So when talking about signals, what is signal? Can someone of you answer this question? And audible? Nothing but some information. See, basically these signals are represented in by taking time into consideration. Signal in the sense that can be transmitted. We are having many transmission mediums. Signal can be transmitted in wire, and it also can be transmitted in air. So basically, it is a representation of time. Basically, signal will be represented. Just a second. This is called as amplitude. Each and every signal, whatever you sense, if I am talking something, there will be some amplitude for the signal. If I have some high pitch, the amplitude of my signal is very high. So this is called as amplitude of the signal. The Y factor will be amplitude. Since it is the amplitude isn't covered in distance, it can be, the units can be meters, centimeters, or anything. Units of distance, and this is the factor of time. So presented with time, this is called as one full cycle. This is called as thrust. Since it is going up, we'll be calling it as thrust. Trough. It is going down, so we'll be calling it as trough. This full thing is called as one cycle. So this is the amplitude and this is the time. Well, this is nothing but one signal, one analog signal. Whenever we want to represent digital signals, we will be using it in the form of bits like 1, 0, 1, 1. 1 means some positive signal and 0 means some negative or low signal. And when we talk about frequency, number of cycles per second. If you are transmitting two signals, suppose. So what is the frequency? If same signal is transmitted 2 to 3 times, what is the redundancy in that? The repetition will be 2 to 3 times, right? So if same signal is transmitted number of times, 2 to 3 times, then the frequency can be calculated as number of cycles per second. From here to here, this is one cycle, and this will be the another cycle. Be here, this will be the another cycle. This will be the another cycle. Since we are, frequency is defined as number of cycles per second. In 1 second, how many cycles you are capable of transmitting? That is nothing but frequency. When coming to phase, both frequency and amplitude will be constant, and the phase of the signal, phase in the sense angle at which it is transmitted, will be changing. First, see, this is one wave, and for this wave, we are having, see, it is 0, and this will be the full cycle. This is 180 degrees of this, and this is 360 degrees. This is one full cycle, right? Out phase for a single signal. Since for one signal, we can't say if it is in phase or out of phase. For phase to be, for phase to be taken into care, we should have two signals. If we take both these signals, if we have another signal which is superimposed on this signal, then we see that signals are in phase. And the phase difference between them can be either 0 degrees or 160 degrees. 60 degrees. The total will be of 360 degrees, right? So whenever we have one signal superimposed with some other signal, we can say that it is 360 degrees. Or suppose your signal will be starting from here. So if this is the higher amplitude for one signal, the peak amplitude for one signal, the another signal is starting from here, so it is 90 degrees out of phase. This signal A is 90 degrees out of phase with signal B. It is having 90 degrees phase shift. Another case what you can take is you are having signal A and you are having another signal starting at this point. So it is 180 degrees out of phase. Signal A is 180 degrees out of phase with signal B. I think you are able to see this. Amplitude. These are some basic things which you need to understand whenever you transmit something. Whatever you transmit, like try to relate it with practical things, like how it is getting transmitted. If you say something, it is getting transmitted, but how it is getting transmitted, how hardware is supporting that, how software is supporting that, how it is traveling through the medium. These things are the basic things. So just go through the PPT once the session is done, so that you will be able to understand what it is basically. I think now you understood. For EC and the students, I think they are familiar with these things. I think they understood what is amplitude, at least phase and frequency. Amplitude is nothing but the distance. It can be the pitch, it can be the amplitude. Amplitude in the sense it can be a distance. It can be taken in vertical, and the distance this is called as amplitude basically. When coming to frequency, number of cycles per second, how many cycles you are basically transmitting in 1 second is nothing but frequency. And then coming to phase, you are transmitting some signal at 0 phase and it's at a particular time, and at the other time after whenever first signal is at its peak, then you started your second signal, you transmitted your second signal. So the peak of one signal is having at its peak, one signal is at its peak, and then you transmit the second signal. So the difference will be 90 degrees. Since total will be 360 degrees, and half of the signal will be 180. So since you transmitted at the peak, it will be 90 degrees. Okay. So when we speak about something like mobile is transmitting, right? Your mobile. Suppose your mobile is you are calling someone, some number, and here is the base station. So whenever you are transmitting something, you are transmitting okay, you are transmitting it through A, and this is also received using antenna from A. But how? Suppose I am speaking to some other person, he may be capable of understanding. But if I speak to some animal kind of thing, will it be capable of understanding? No, right? So there should be some compatibility or some common platform between them. If A is capable, A and B, they need to communicate. There should be some common interface kind of thing for them to work, and for the coordination between them should exist, right? So for that purpose, we are having some regulations and recommendation standards. Basically, these segmentation standards, protocols, how to access medium, how to access the spectrum, what are the limitations on it, how much spectrum should be accessed, all this. What will be the range of the spectrum which I need to access. Will be given by some 3GPP, third generation partnership. They will be sitting together, and they are the people who will be standardizing these protocols. And later on, these protocols should be followed by whoever implements these kind of things like mobile computing, hardware, software, and communications, wireless communications. They should follow these standards and protocols. These are defined by 3GPP. So, communication. Similarly, whenever we are speaking about communication, something is moving. Communication in the sense, as I told you, we are having two devices. Right? Two devices are two things which will be communicating. Suppose it is A and suppose the other will be B. So it should be a two-way communication. Since we are saying that it is mobile communication, it should be one of A, either A or B. One of it should be moving. Then we'll be calling it as mobile communication. You are accessing some data, but if you are surfing something, something will be present at some blogger, at some server. There is some data present here, and you will be accessing. This may be fixed. The server will be located, it will be centralized, and it will be located maybe some office work. You will be having some server kept at some other place. It will be fixed. But your portable devices, the other device will be your mobile phones or your laptops. These will be portable. So you will be accessing this data. So one thing will be fixed and one thing will be mobile. Whenever you since it is two devices, one can be fixed and one can be mobile. Mobile in the sense it should be handheld and it should be the location of the device can be moved either locally or globally. Maybe some to other states, some other countries. The location it shouldn't be there shouldn't be a restriction on location of the device. So basically this communication can be wide and wireless and distributed. Like whenever we are saying mobile, in order to the mobile thing should have wireless. If unless and until it is wireless, we can't meet anywhere. So we are having two types, wired and wireless. But this for having mobile communication that should be wireless and it should be distributed. As I told you, instead of one person performing the task, it is distributed and it is centralized. All of them will be putting it on server here, and everyone. If some new person comes, he will be accessing through server. So it is distributed among the persons. It is a distributed network basically. Since just now I told you we'll be having guided transmissions and unguided transmission. What is guided transmission? Guided in the sense it is bounded. It is bounded. The examples of this will be coaxial cables, optical fibers, and twisted cables, these kind of things. You are having this, you are having point A, you are having point B. Maybe your telephone networks, right? Landline phones before used to have a very thick wire. If you want to make a call, that has to go all the way from one state to maybe sometimes it may be from one state. It is actually from one state to some again we have numbers here. It will be linked, and from base station to again it will be linked to our landlines. But now it is mobile phones doesn't have this guided medium. Right? They don't use guided medium. So it is point-to-point transmission. If you have some short distances, like from here to suppose in our office, we will be having server, and under that we'll be using many laptops and these kind of things for LAN. So for net purpose, we'll be using LAN connections, right? These can be wide medium. So if it is some small distances in terms of meters, then we will go with guided transmission. So it is basically helpful in these and if some like in scenarios like if data is more important, like it is important data and should be secured and it shouldn't be shared with some other people. And if it is short distance data, then we'll be going with guided transmission. Since it is short distance and since it doesn't have any effects of environment and other things, and none of them will be capable of just opening that, and we can't open a wire and we can't see that, right, what the information is going on inside, like that. So even the security will be behind this wide transmission of data. So, for this, the examples of this will be metal wires and coaxial cables, optical fibers, these kind of things will be the examples for guided things. Here, like this can be the wire and it will be insulated by, you see a normal wire. You'll be having some copper inside and then it will be insulated with some other insulator. This will be a guided transmission. So this will be basically a point-to-point communication. So next will be the unguided transmission. Unguided transmission is nothing but, as I told you, this is the mobile and this is the base station. This is the base station and this is the mobile, right? So you are speaking something. You'll be having your dial pad and you'll be dialing something. These signals, you'll be having microphone you are speaking something, this will be taken care by this microphone, and this will be given to your antenna. Some processing will be happening. I mean, some hard. You can upload the PPT. I have uploaded it in documents of this thing review. Guided medium. This electrical signal converted into electromagnetic signals with the help of this antenna. What is electromagnetic signal? You know, right? Whenever in mind we will be having electrical signals. That is nothing but electrons. Whenever these electrons are in static positions in the sense there is some fixed positions. Normally the structure of quantum will be center will be having nucleus, so there is some positive charge and these electrons will be rotating. This thing is often topic. We'll discuss this thing will give us static electrons. I mean electrons at static positions will give us electrical energy basically. They will generate electric field. If we have electrons, some charged particles, then that is nothing but some electric field is present at that place. If we accelerate, if we give some kinetic energy, initially we should supply this with some kinetic energy, then what it will do, these electrons will be accelerated. When you give some charge to this, it will be accelerated, right? Whenever you give some charge to some conducting material, the flow of electrons you will be capable of, I mean with your night eyes you can't be capable of observing, but generally the electrons will be accelerated. With the help of this, what happens is magnetic field is also generated. The accelerating electrons will be, the accelerating charged particles will be generating magnetic field around. So whenever you have something, see suppose you have some electrons traveling in this direction. Some electrons are negatively charged particles, some electrons traveling in this direction and some electrons traveling in this direction. So whenever we have these kind of things, this and this together, since these are both are in opposite direction, both of them will cancel each other. But suppose a case where we have like this. Here the electrons, the flow of electrons will be, here the flow of the electrons will be in this direction, here the flow of electrons will be in this direction. If this is the thing, they will be cancelled. But now the combined flow will be, here some electrons will be flowing, here some electrons. The electrons which are the charged particles which are flowing here, this and this may cancel out each other. But these electrons, when they are going this way, so here the electrons flow will be like this basically. So what happens is, since they are moving electrons, a field is generated above this. This is nothing but magnetic field. Whenever some charged particles are moving, just see how the electromagnetic spectrum and how electromagnetic field is generated. So whenever some charged particles are moving, it will be surrounded with magnetic field and electric field. When the flow of electrons and the magnetic field and electric field will be perpendicular to each other. Electric field will be perpendicular to each other. If you see electromagnetic spectrum, I mean, let us take an example. See, sun is transmitting radiations, right? Whenever the sun is transmitting the radiations, out of these radiations, 99% will be electromagnetic radiations. In this electromagnetic radiations, we are not having only the visible rays, we will be having some spectrum, and this spectrum is divided into some different frequencies and different based on the wavelengths and based on the frequencies, we will be using that rays. So suppose we will be having visible spectrum for 400 to 900 and the wavelengths and the frequencies, we will be having visible rays. Only these rays can be visible to our human eyes, and our human eye is capable of seeing only these visible rays. And X-ray, these X-rays will be using, maybe in doctors may be using these X-rays for some surgeries and some to remove some kind of things, some kind of things. Generally they will be using X-rays and gamma rays, radio waves, infrared waves. These things, each of them has application in some other way. So based on the wavelength and based on the frequency, we will be using these waves. Okay. What is the relation between C equal to mu lambda? What is the relation between light, speed of light, and frequency and wavelength? Frequency here is denoted with nu and the lambda is the wavelength. As I told you, this is one-sided. This will be the one wavelength. Okay. So whenever we want to calculate the wavelength of some particular wave, what will be the c by the wavelength will be c by mu. That is nothing but frequency. Mu is nothing but frequency. Frequency is in terms of hertz. Speed of light will be in meter per second. 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second. If it is in centimeters, it will be 10 power 10 into 100, right? So it will be 10 power 10. This will be the speed of light. So we'll be particular wave if you know the frequency, and either is possible. If you know the frequency, this is the standard value. The speed of light to the earth will be a standard value. They can be calculated in the, if you know the frequency of the signal, will be capable of calculating the wavelength and vice versa. Okay. So I think you understood the relationship between wavelength frequencies. So I deviated from the theory. So basically this mobile, let me get that. With the help of antenna, is transmitting the electromagnetic waves. This will be the medium between these two will be the air. Antenna is nothing but it will be serving some group of users or some group of subscribers. And under antenna, basically we will be having some, if you are staying in some area, suppose this is a area, it can be a city and it can be a rural area, right? If it is city, the density of people will be high, right? So whenever the operators operators like network, Vodafone, whenever they are keeping towers, they will take into account the area which they are seeing, area and the density of the people. What is the area? How are there any obstructions in between, and some trees, some walls, those kind of things. How is the area? How is the density of people? Based on that, they will be deciding how many towers to keep in a particular area. If this is some area, then if you see the density of people is very more in this area, or suppose in this part, let us suppose the density of the people is very high, then what they will be doing? They will be keeping one tower here and another tower in this place. So they will be keeping two towers. Suppose this is a rural area. This may be an urban area where the density of people is high. This may be a rural area. So what they will be doing? They will be keeping just one tower. One tower is enough, right? Since the people will be here and there, and one tower will serve the minimum number of users. Since the density of people is less, the number of users will be less. If number of users are more, each user has to be allocated with some bandwidth or some set of frequencies, right? So because of that, everyone will be using the spectrum. So if density of people is more, we need more access for spectrum. And more access for spectrum, and in order, we'll be placing many towers in a more populated area when compared with less populated areas. There will be other factors based on which the operators will be deploying the towers. Okay. So this is nothing but unguided transmission. The radiations will be traveled in air in the form of electromagnetic radiations, and the base station will also have the antenna. These antennas will also be capable of receiving only electromagnetic signals. And they take these electromagnetic signals, they will convert this into electrical signal, and they will process, and based on that, they will retrieve the information here, and after retrieving the information, they will be responding back to that information sent by this. Now the same thing will be here. In antennas also we are having types like dual pole antenna, dipole antenna, and the Yagi-Uda antenna. Based on the density and based on the height of transmission, and based on the, if source and destinations are near, then that won't be an issue. If it is long distances, then we'll be using some parabolic antennas, directional antennas, omnidirectional antennas. See, the main two antennas will be, one will be omnidirectional and other will be directional. If it is omnidirectional, antenna, so you will be placing one tower you will be placing some tower here, and it will be covering all the 360 degrees. It will be propagating radiations as I told you, that in the electromagnetic radiations, the radiations will be radiations is nothing but some energy. That energy will be propagated in all the directions. When it is omnidirectional, since it is 360 degrees, it will be propagated in all the directions. But where is it applicable and where is it useful in the sense? Less pop, as I told you, village areas, rural areas. In those areas, since the density of people is scattered, for every 3 to 4 kilometers, I think here there will be one village, and after 4 kilometers there will be some. So they are scattered. If you place server here, it will be capable of, since it is the density of people is also less, it will be scattered, and the number of people, and only some people will be here and some people, the distance will also be covered. So in such purposes, when the people are scattered, when the density of people is less, then in such scenarios we'll be using the omnidirectional antenna. Okay, the other will be directional antenna. What is directional antenna? Directional means it will be just focusing in one direction. Since omnidirectional is at 360 degrees, directional in the sense, maybe it's a densely populated areas. Here, in cities, that density, if you take some area, the density of people may be very high in some regions. That what will be placing some tower, and the directivity, the angle of the antenna will be narrow, so that it will be communicating all those people and all those persons. It will be communicating. The services to the people are also provided. Even though the density is high, it will be. So basically, it is applicable where the density of people is very directional antenna. Okay, so the same thing is present here, and what is the main difference in the sense? It will be in guided, it will be a point-to-point communication. Whereas in unguided, since it is air is the medium, excuse me, will be transmitting it out, and the air will be the medium, and it will be propagating through air. And the other will be energy propagates through wires or guided media. And the energy will be in the form of current, as I told you that electric field will be going in the wires, right? So there will be in the form of current, photons, or some charged particles or voltages. Whereas this contains, as I told you, these are twisted, coaxial, and optical. Whereas this can be all the rays which are if you see the electromagnetic spectrum, you will be having the frequencies and range of wavelengths, and the waves, each and every wave distance. So based on the application, if you want to use some surgical purpose, you will be using it. So based on the purpose and based on what wavelength you require and what frequency you suppose you can take laser, based on that, based on the density and based on application, and in that application, if you want some higher wavelength or some pointed thing, then you will be using thing with short wavelengths, those kind of things. Based on the application, you will be using these all the waves. Even though when electromagnetic spectrum, these radiations are transmitted by air, some will be in these UV rays will be absorbed by ozone layer, and this will lead to some greenhouse effect. Those are, some of the things will be absorbed. So some of the rays will be absorbed by the air, and there will be some of them will be reflected back to atmosphere. So because of that, the Earth's surface will be heated up. Those are I think. These are out of topic for now. See, these are as I told you, this is some electromagnetic spectrum. Here we will be having very low frequency, medium. Electromagnetic spectrum will be having the low frequencies and medium frequencies, infrared rays, visible rays, and each of them will be having some frequencies and some wavelengths. Depending on the application, as I told you, we can use frequencies with the 300 things. For coaxial cable, they are using very low frequencies to very high frequencies kind of things. And for optic, they are using this visible light. So based on the dependencies and based on the applications, you will be using the things with different wavelengths and different frequencies. Okay, this is what I told you. Lambda equal to c by f. Nothing but c is the speed of light, and lambda is the wavelength, and f is the frequency. Nothing but number of cycles. Moving to next topic. Since mobile is transmitting some waves, we should be accessing spectrum. frequencies model, when you will be accessing A in the sense you will be sending some frequencies. In order to send some frequencies, we are having some set of frequencies. Nothing but spectrum. This should be based on there will be this ITU will be conducting this will be conducting auctions actually. In these auctions, operators, Airtel, Vodafone, whoever want the frequency bandwidth, they'll be going there and they'll be buying. For if it is mobile phones, the GSM bandwidth will be. I think you are familiar with GSM LTE because to be seeing the features, what is the bandwidth it is using, what is the technology it is using, whether it is GSM or CDMA, OFDMA, LTE, what kind of technology it is using. Basically, 1G is nothing but analog communication. I'll be discussing it later. Since it came the GSM, I just will explain what is GSM. GSM is nothing but 2G. As the days are going on, the evolution is coming to the picture. Before we used to have maybe in 2 rooms we used to have very big computers. Later on, only that is also only one person will be accessing it at a time. And if one person is using that, no other person will be using that. If there are some computations, some bugs, only later on some network came into the picture. We are having now desktops. So each of them is connected with the help of network. So by connecting 2 to 3, we will be having some central server. Each of them will be connected. Further, we will be using packet switching. We will be telling the packet switching. And now we are having some laptops. These laptops will be connected to some router kind of thing, router or Wi-Fi will be connected, right? That Wi-Fi is connected to some local LAN, and the local LAN will be connected to internet, which is the backbone for everything. Every network is connected finally to that. So like this, based on like it is keep on advancing. Like industries keep on advancing. After that. Laptops, tablets came into the picture. With the help of tablets, you can upload anything, you can serve whatever you want. Many applications are possible with the help of tablet. After tablet, the palm top has came into the picture for personal things. And for PAs, they'll be generally using palm touch for scheduling something to his manager, dates, calendars. So those kind of stuff, in order to know something, they'll be using that. And after tablets, I think smartphones. Right, everyone, maybe 90% of you are having, not 90, since you are in fourth year, I think 99 to 100% of you are having mobile phones, right? Smartphones, they are having many features. Whatever you come, there are some inbuilt applications, and if you want some more applications, you will be just downloading and you will be using them, right? Since it is portable and it is easy to use, whatever you want something, you will be using this smartphone. So here, GSM is nothing but 2G access spectrum. After that, 1G, then followed by 2G. In 2G, we will be using GSM technology. After 2G, we will be having 5G, that is TRS. And after that, we will be having 3G. There we will be using, in 2G, we will be using TDMA along with CDMA. See, based on, USA bands, it is mentioned Japan. Different countries will be using different bands because it is an auction, right? Each country will be buying their bands, and after buying them, the network operators will be buying in turn that bands. In Europe, for GSM, it is between 890 to 915 megahertz for mobile phones. And if you see in USA, it is for TDMA, CDMA, these kind of multiple access techniques. For this technology, they are using 1850 to 1910 megahertz, and in Japan, using some 1429. These are some bandwidths which they are using. For if you take for each and every application, for mobile phones they are using one bandwidth. For cordless cell phones, their bandwidth varies, right? 885 to 887. This auction is conducted yearly once, and these people will be buying based on the number of users. If number of users are increasing, now they have to serve all the users. For their purpose, the network operator has to buy at least they has to buy some more bandwidth, or at least they have to accommodate the number of users in the limited bandwidth. If they try to accommodate more number of users in the limited bandwidth, what happens is you may face network issues. While you are talking, call may drop suddenly, call drops will increase. Network, you are unable to hear. The network is not clear. Like no proper transmission, no proper propagation of waves or no proper accessing of the bandwidth is there. Because of that, there are many factors that will happen that will make you drop your call, some overloading of network. Many factors may drop your call, or at least there will be your services may be interrupted. I mean, data services, anything will be interrupted if they can't provide. I mean, if they won't buy bandwidth, or if they while buying also, while maintaining something, we need to maintain the quality of service. Without customers' satisfaction, even though they provide the services, without customers, if customers don't like it, nowadays they are just throwing out that thing and they are preferring the network which is preferable, right? So network operators are trying. Even they have something like they have to buy the bandwidth and they have to serve more number of subscribers, they have to attract them and they have to provide good quality of service. They are ensuring that there is some quality of service maintained by that. If you see one ad, recently I have seen one ad that is an Airtel ad, I guess. Yeah, Airtel ad, they're showing the globe and they'll be saying, wow, good connectivity. Like towers are placed very nearby. Good connectivity, no call drops, means call drops in the sense, no dropping of call, no network load. Like towers are even in less populated areas, more populated, there are more number of towers. So as a result of that, quality of service will also be good. So the ads, in order to attract the customers, they are showing how it will be, no call drops, no network load, these kind of things, in order to attract the customers, so that they can make a profit and they can stand in the market. Will be buying this bandwidth. So signals, as I told you, there will be, this is already discussed. Signals is nothing but amplitudes, analog signals and digital signals, right? Analog is nothing but time as a factor of time, and digital signals will be represented in the form of bits per second, number of bits. In a particular second, how many bits you are transmitting. This is what you will be seeing, like you'll be, whenever you are downloading, you will be seeing your download speed. What is your download speed? This number of megabits per second. And whenever you upload, this will be some less when compared to the download, because generally what the network operators think is will be downloading more when compared to uploading. So the bandwidth provided for download will be more when compared to upload. That things I'll be explaining in LTE. In LTE we are having different kinds of bandwidths, maybe 5 bandwidths in their bandwidths. For downlink we'll be using much bandwidth when compared to uplink. Even any technology it is, we'll be using more bandwidth in the case of downlink when compared to uplink, since the data uploaded will be less when compared to the data downloaded. Okay, when representing a signal, analog signal means continuous in time and it has continuous values in the continuous amplitude along with time. And whenever we talk about discrete signals, we can convert an analog signal into discrete signal also. This is an analog signal. Whenever I think you know what is sampling. What is sampling? What is the Nyquist criteria? What are the conditions to be met in order to do this sampling? In tomorrow's session, I will be asking these questions, so be prepared with this. And what it will do is basically, I will be giving just an overview. This analog signal, based on the sampling techniques, we are having sampling techniques. What it will do is, at a particular interval of time, we will be just doing the signal discrete. And we'll be having intermediate steps for this. So at a particular interval of time, what is the amplitude for this? At another particular interval, so we will be at particular, say if this is the half cycle, here we'll be taking some instance of time, and at that time we'll be noting down the values of amplitude. So this will be with the help of this, we are making the signals discrete. Now the signal will be like this, right? Later on it will be digitized. Digitized in the sense it will be converted into bits and bytes. If it is on, it will be 1. And if it is off, it will be 0. The signal will be interpreted as this. If it is on, it is 1, and if it is 0, it is off, and like this it will be digital. And the analog signals will be represented with AT sin 2 pi ft plus 5. Nothing but will be taking into account the amplitude, frequency, and also the phase. So for your representation of periodic signals. Periodic signals in the sense, signals periodic in the sense which will be repetitive after a certain period of time, right? Okay. So periodic signals in the sense these signals are repeating after a particular amount of time. The ideal periodic signal will be like this, but anyways due to environmental factors, these signals will be distorted. But if a wave is transmitted from a transmitter, it may be changed by many factors in the present in the environment, and finally the wave will be in different form. One question: why the Fourier transforms? Can anyone of you answer why we need there will be some trees in between, buildings in between? Because of this, what will happen is, because of this, the multi-path fading and dispersion of waves, scattering of waves will happen. Because of which, whatever we transmit, that won't be reaching the receiver. There are many factors which will be affecting the signal propagation, like dispersion, scattering, fading, multi-path fading. Whenever we transmit one signal, it will be going, if we are transmitting some signal here and it will be going to transmitting signal, and this will be going here, there is one building, and then this is the, suppose this is transmitter and this is receiver. So here in receiver we will be having, assume this is a receiver, this is the transmitter, and this is one building where we are having trees. It may not take one single path. It can reach directly in this path, or it can hit the building, or it can have some reflections. If there is some mirror kind of thing, nowadays buildings are having mirrors, right? It will reflect, it will come back, and it may not go. It may be stopped in the middle. It may, if it is tree, it will be going. Something will be in buildings also. If there is some objects, will have the absorption power, so they may be absorbing. Only something will be going. Finally, we have many paths where the signal will be traveling. So this is nothing but fading effect. Okay, since it is taking multiple paths, the signal is faded. So because of which the receiver will not be capable of receiving the appropriate signal. So as I told you, there are radiation patterns depending on the type of antennas. Where, as I told you, Yagi-Uda antenna. Yagi-Uda antenna is nothing but we'll be having we'll be having some parasitic elements and some driver elements. Here we are keeping the elements horizontal to each other so that it will be propagating. And the first element will be called as, the element which is driving will be called driving antenna, and the other will be called as parasitic elements. So there are many antennas depending on the purpose. Like I told you, density. These are the factors when deciding the type of antenna. If you want the density is more in particular direction or particular area, there you will be using directional antenna. If we have sectorized antennas, since we have, if suppose this is a cell, this is the coverage area of the cell, we will be using this sector. Here there will be one antenna. This is called a sectorized antenna. This will be one sector, this will be other sector, this will be other sector. So here, these are the examples of the antennas. Their radiation patterns. See, in XY plane, whenever we weave the antennas, we weave the radiation patterns. It can be from either top view, side view. We are having three planes, right? Depending on the view, it will be changing. If you see from top, it will be like some parabolic kind of thing. It will be some circular kind of thing. If you see it sideways, this is sectorized antenna. In the entire 360 degrees will be divided into three sectors. Three sectors in the sense each will be getting 360 divided by 3. 6 sector antenna is nothing but something like hexagon. 360 divided by 3. If you see, if you have okay type of density, some normal city kind of thing, then you will be using 3 sector antenna. You have more people and more density, then what you will be having is you will be taking to the number of sectors, and there you will be using sectors. So that this will be 1, 3, and will have different sectors which will be served by one particular antenna. Okay. See, this is 6 sector, this is 3 sector, this is sectorized antenna. And as I told you just now, propagation. Propagation is nothing but, propagation in free space is nothing but in air. If it is propagating, the medium effect will be more, fading effect. As I told you, it will be taking, see here, shadowing effect. It will See, once some signal is transmitted, it should reach that person, but it is not reaching because of that shadowing effect. It is completely obstructed by that wall present over there. Whenever we come into reflection, here the wave is reflecting. Maybe there can be some kind of object which will be capable of reflecting. Reflection is nothing but right? Whenever there is transmitting this, the angle of probability, you should compare with the perpendicular line. This is called as angle of incidence. Angle of incidence means at which angle the wave is projected onto the object. Okay, this is called as angle of incidence. So, what happens is, depending on the properties of that object, that wave may be reflected. The angle of this is called as angle of reflection. Every time keep into the mind that you will be considering only a perpendicular line for taking the reference for taking into account the angle of incident, reflection, refraction, diffraction, these kind of. So this is called an angle of reflection. Because of the object properties, it may absorb some energy and it reflects back the remaining energy. The perfect example will be mirror. Okay, so this is called as angle of reflection. If both angle of incidence and angle of reflection are same, then we'll be having total internal reflection. Maybe that means out of thing. No? So depending on the properties, here if you see the second image will be the reflection and scattering. If the wavelength of the signal and some signal is hitting some object, this object, whenever it is hitting the wavelength of the particles, suppose we can take the example of raindrops, dew, dust particles. These particles are light in wavelength, light in weight, and they have light wavelength, right? Whenever our signal hits these objects kind of things, it will scatter. And scattering in the sense, right? The name itself suggests it is spreading in some different direction. Since they have less wavelength, that object is having less wavelength, it will, whenever it hits that particle, it will be scattering. Diffraction. Diffraction is nothing but the wave will get bended, or the wave, some hilly areas or some point of rocks. Whenever the signal is transmitting, it will be, if you take a drawing subject, you will be having that whenever it hits the top of it will take tangential, it will take in different directions. Similar to that, whenever it hits the hilltop or the rock top, diffraction happens. I mean, the signal will be some will be observed and some will be diffracted in different angles. Here you may be sending with some angle, there it will be diffracted with some other angle. So the reflector, the phase, at least the phase may also get changed, right? You are sending with some signal with some phase, then it after getting reflected, diffracted or scattered with some other some objects present in the environment, it will changes its phase, it will change amplitude, may decrease. If it is short distance, it will go properly. But if it is long distance, it will keep on going. In this going, there are many factors affecting, and as a result of this, for long distance waves, the antenna gain will also be less. Antenna gain in the sense you will be taking one reference antenna basically, and for reference antenna, if it is ideal, if you are transmitting one signal, how it will be received here? What is the transmission? What is the power received here? If you are transmitting with some X dB, what is the dB received here? In ideal case, we will be taking, and in some other case, we will be taking. So gain. So if you want to calculate the gain for that particular signal, what we will be doing is normal signal gain, normal signal power divided by reference signal power. Reference signal in the sense ideal signal where there is no diffraction, no scattering, those kind of perfect wave. That is ideal. That is why I am saying which is not possible. So in order to calculate antenna gain, we will be calculating like this. So this is some of the examples of reflection, shadowing, scattering, diffraction at edges. All because of all these effects, the signal will be affected at the end. Okay. Let me check if you are multipath propagation. Just now you have seen signal takes different paths between sender and receiver. So time dispersion will be there. Intersymbol interference in the sense you have same frequencies. I mean, one signal is transmitted, but it is taking different paths. So then what will happen? This can be your one symbol. You'll be having this wave. if you the another wave will be start with the same frequency will start at some intersymbol interference will be there. Like in multipath, now here your transmitter will be transmitting and it will take some different paths and it will be reaching the receiver. In receiver again Jntuk will be taking the average of this for calculating this and will be doing some process to get the exact signal. Anyways, we don't get the exact signal, but we'll mostly 99% of the signal will be achieved here by doing the modulation, those kind of things. There are things I'll be discussing. And intersymbol interference in the sense, the first symbol symbols will be like, suppose you are transmitting some bits. The first symbol you have transmitted this, and if it is packet switching, you'll be transmitting this, and in the next time and next instant you'll be transmitting some these bits. So what happens is there should be some lag, some guard between them. If you take frequency spectrum, if it is frequency division multiplexing, you will be transmitting some signal. After that, if you transmit the next signal immediately, the frequencies of this and the frequencies of this may collide, and because of which intersymbol, both waves may have some interference to each other. If they have same frequencies, both suppose same frequencies are sent at same time, no issue. So some frequency sent at particular time, and it's some milliseconds of time you send some other signal, there may be some interference, right? So you send one signal, there is no guard band in between, and you send some other bits. What will happen? This last symbol will be affected with the, by the time it ends, it may get started. Since we don't have guard band, right? So this may get started. Because of which this symbol will be corrected and this symbol will be corrected. Right? So what we'll be doing is, in order to prevent this intersymbol interference, what we'll be doing is this last bit we'll be adding at the start. So whenever these are, we'll be having some padding bits. So by adding this last bit at the start, what we'll be doing, like whenever we receive signal, we'll be coming to knowing what type of error correction technique. These are called error detection and error correction techniques. There are many types in this. So based on that, we'll be recognizing that. Based on that, what we'll be doing, since we'll be coming to know that it is parallel with some other bit. So even though some interference happens, some interval interference happens, what we'll be doing is we'll come to know that this symbol is corrupted. So we'll be removing this last symbol and we will be using this symbol in this place. This first symbol will be replaced with the last. So that we'll be preventing the intersymbol interference. If we have guard band in between, this is same thing. You are transferring this bit, but you have some guard band in between, and you have some other bits transmitted. So now what you have transmitted is some time left in between. So and then you are transmitting some other signal. There will be no intersymbol interference if you use guard bands. And if you want to prevent this intersymbol interference, we'll be using cyclic prefix. There are again two types of cyclic prefix, normal cyclic prefix and extended cyclic prefix. So by adding this, whatever the corrected signal, before while transmitting itself, we'll be sending some extra signal. Extra symbol. Which generally the last symbol will be the signal which will be affected by some other signal and which will prone to interference. So what we'll be doing is this last symbol will append it at the start and we'll be sending the signal. So by this we can be preventing intersymbol interference. There can be a distortions in phase, and since it is taking different paths and different affected by different conditions, the signal will be distorted. So again, these will be the same thing. Everything will be changed. Obstacles. This is the same thing which I have discussed. Let me go into the next slide. Multiplexing. What is multiplexing? Can anyone of you answer what is multiplexing and why we need multiplexing? Please do. Anyways, these are basics. I think many of you know which I am discussing now.